minute, everyone, please take their seats. Thank you.
If you're not going to extend the rules, you need to do this by random draw.
Okay. You want to go ahead and just shuffle them?
I know, aren't I? No, 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 no. Oh, just one little morning while I was having coffee, I couldn't
Um,
resist, no.
okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Bloomington City Council to order. If everyone will please stand for a pledge allegiance and then a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Good evening. Alderman Lauer,
Here.
Alderman Sage,
Here.
Alderman Milliwan Bayway,
Here.
Alderman Burkus. Here. Alderman Painter. Here. Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Black.
Here.
Alderman Hallman. Here. Alderman Fruin.
Here.
Mayor Renner.
Here. Thank you very much. It is 7:03. We're going to move on to public comment, and we do have 15 minutes devoted for public comment. So we have from 7:03 to 7:18, and our city attorney has shuffled them so we can start in order. You have up to 3 minutes, but keep in mind, if you go up to your limit, you may take away from others to speak. So we have Kelby Compston, please come forward. Sorry about the mispronunciation.
That's right.
Hi, my name is Kelby Crumpston. I live at 901 North Madison Street in Bloomington, and I'm currently employed with Hafley's Crane Service, and it's a family-owned business that is ran by, it's one of the few that is owned by a woman in the industry, really. And basically what we do is we offer competitive rates of all sorts of different crane services, whether you want an AC unit or you want a hot tub in your pool, if you can do that. Mostly trusses we put on buildings, but the past year and actually today we were working on bringing in windmill parts from, they come in from Mexico and they come on a train elevator or a train rail, and basically we take those, they're giant washers for the windmill parts here around central Illinois, and we take them off of the rail car and we put them on semis that go down to the Pontiac area. And anyway, this business, like I said, they offer competitive rates, and you can come get a bid from them anytime you want. Somewhere, they're kind of not a 9-to-5 people. We're open pretty much longer than that, sometimes until 11 o'clock at night. Anyway, you can go down to Bunn Street and Oakland to get a bid there. Any type of like I said, we're non-union. It is a family business, and they don't know I'm here, but I am family, so they kind of have to deal with that. They don't really have anything to do with government. And anyway, why I also came here, and I kind of want to bring this up to the council, is a lot of people bring up in the public comments Saul Alinsky. And so I was just going to read an excerpt from one of his rules, which is Rule 12 for Rules of Radicals. And it says, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Cut off the support network and isolate the target from sympathy. Go after people and not institutions. People hurt faster than institutions. And I basically just wanted to say that to let the city council know that if there's any type of entertainment radio out there that is putting a little pressure on people instead of the institutions that they blame. Just kind of be aware that although they're radically different than the politics of Saul Alinsky, they're using very similar tactics. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Martin, and then Judy Stearns.
Thank you. During my recent visits to the General Assembly in Springfield, I've become more aware of the amount of protective legislation that exists regarding the elderly. I'm especially grateful for Senator Jason Barrickman's recent sponsorship of a House amendment increasing penalties for abusive physical and financial practices against the elderly. Senator Iris Martinez also made a heartfelt statement regarding the care of the elderly. We are not corporations, she said. We are government. We must help the most vulnerable members of our population survive. Then why do many people in our communities appear to be unaware of this, despite eruptions of the past year or so, including administrators themselves working in facilities where this type of knowledge should be mandatory? This obviously brings us back once more to tougher hiring procedures, also recently mentioned in the panagraph, including not only background checks and tests, but regular on-the-job checks too. And I find especially admirable the stringent list of job requirements ranging from the physical to the emotional of our police forces. I went to a lecture on workplace bullying in Chicago, and there was one in Springfield too. The speaker stating that the employers often get away with abusive tactics because they are on good terms with their administrators, who are unfortunately often board members who rarely visit the work site itself. Obviously, such flaws need to be minimized through stricter internal surveillance procedures and legislation. I'm happy with the stance the county is taking in this direction, but a law is only effective when it is put into practice. Otherwise, it is only a piece of paper. We are planning extensive and costly building programs in our area, and they cannot be turned over to people who are ill-equipped to handle the inevitable problems that will occur. For such problems must be dealt with in a humane and balanced fashion before they turn into catastrophes. Abusive treatment is not ethical or legitimate. It is criminal, it cannot be tolerated, and those who perpetuate it must be dismissed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Judy Stearns, and after Judy Stearns, Alton Franklin, and then Gary Lambert.
Thank you. Have we changed the rules that we're not allowing everyone that came to speak?
We're not suspending the rules. There was no motion to suspend. We're living within our rules.
Can
So go
I
ahead.
give my time up to someone else?
You can. If they've signed in.
Signed in, I believe.
What?
There's no assigning of time. You can not use your time and somebody else may be drawn. But I don't think the rules allow for you to use.
Oh, I can't designate. Okay. Well, I think it's interesting that, that rule has changed since everyone who came tonight, I think, with the expectation that they would be able to speak. Apparently that's not the case. What I'd like to say tonight is I'd like to commend you, Mr. Mayor, for your stated commitment at public comment that you won't be commenting at the end of our public comment. I think that's a good policy. I've often heard you say that. We don't comment on public comment. And I think that's very gracious to allow the citizen, as it were, to have sort of the last word. And I agree with that, but I'm a little bit confused because I seem to hear quite a bit of comment after public comment. And last time you mentioned that if we do have a question, that we should come to your open house. And I certainly respect the fact that you have the open house, but I'm a little bit confused because I'm not here to ask a question, nor do I think most of the other public commenters are asking a question. I think rather they are here to address their governing body, their city council. And I would also say that they're doing so in a public fashion and doing so on the record. And I would also say that this may indeed be the only way for a citizen to really address the city council. Emails I don't think work very well. I sent one out 3-4 weeks ago with 6, I thought, very good questions, and I got 3 responses, Ward 8, Ward 1, I think, and Ward 4, eventually. And even though I didn't really get the answers, I didn't expect them. I expected the questions to be forwarded where I perhaps could be answered, but that didn't happen. So I'm not sure there is another good way for a citizen to talk to the city council other than public comment, even though it seems like maybe we're kind of moving on ways to limit or prohibit. But onward from there, I heard several times after public comment last session that the incident that happened with the door knocking was not about freedom of the press. Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press. And furthermore, I happen to be a very, probably knocked on more doors than just about anyone around, since I ran 2 extremely difficult campaigns and knocked on literally dozens, hundreds of doors, sometimes twice. And even though I know that I was not always welcome, I never even dawned on anyone apparently to call the police or to charge me with anything. But sadly, we heard the word felony brought up last session about a door knocking incident, which is very confusing to me, since not only did we not have a felony charged, but we didn't seem to have any charges at all. Everything seems to have gone away, and now we'll just forget all about it and go on. But I think in terms of our building a safe, inclusive community, which is included in the Not in Our Town Pledge, as most of you know, I don't think the word felony is appropriate when we're talking about someone who knocked on a door.
Time is up.
And I think that person deserves an apology. And I'm sad that he's not going to be allowed to address the council tonight.
Well, we don't know that's the case. Elton Franklin. Again, Elton and then Gary and Donna.
My name is Alton Franklin. I live at 508 Patterson Drive here in Bloomington, Illinois. I'd like to thank Ms. Stearns for covering a number of salient points that I was going to cover. Simply put, I thought it was especially appropriate that we had Rule 12 that Solonitsky called out. Seems to me that there's a lot more isolation, polarization, all the other characteristics laid out by Mr. Alinsky with regards to a person who should know better. Simply put, to walk out on someone, to falsely charge someone, to not, oddly enough, it was the luck of the draw was with me tonight. And oddly enough, the luck of the draw wasn't from the person who really is a burr under the saddle of certain members of this august body. You know, it's kind of sad. If you're that scared, if you feel your position is that tenuous, you need to find another line of work, because it requires courage to do the right things up there. I spoke to this earlier. It's about doing, and it's about doing the right things. It's not about trying to score political points. I guess I'm pontificating, though. It's kind of curious how we're getting new structures in. I feel it's sad. It speaks to a certain lack of character, a lack of values, which is now reflected in what we saw come back from the task force, because the only thing that approached the value that was listed out there was inclusiveness. Where's honor? Where's integrity? Those are values that I cherish much more than being service-oriented or results-driven. Those aren't values. Those are personality characteristics. Values are things that we hold dear to our heart, that mean things. Honor, courage, and commitment are 3 that I learned in the 6 years that I was in the Marine Corps that actually I already knew when I got there. I'd like to see a little bit more honor on the part of this council and the mayor. I'd like to see a little bit more commitment to the citizens of this fair city on everybody's part. And I'd like to see some courage to step out and do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay. Donna Bolin, and then if we have time, Josh Schmidgall.
Hi, Donna Bowen. I live at 2702 Foxtrot Trail. I'm going to talk about the consent agenda, number 7F, even though it's a consent agenda. It's kind of disturbing to me to see as routine business the continuation of not holding a developer accountable for compliance with the ordinance or paying fees. The agreement in question is more than 2 decades old and is the third time it has appeared on the consent agenda within the past year. Negotiations should not be necessary because the ordinances are clear. Chapter 24, Section 3.9.1, the developer has to comply with the requirements in Section 1.16 of the Manual of Practice for the Design of Public Improvements in the City of Bloomington. Chapter 24, 4.7, the punch list. All public improvements shall be completed within 2 years following the approval of the final plat by the mayor and city council of the city. Guarantee of those improvements against faulty material and workmanship has to last for 1 year. Chapter 24, Section 2.15, violation of penalties, up to $500. A separate and distinct offense shall be regarded as committed each day upon which said person shall continue any such violation or permit any such violation to exist after notification or knowledge of the existence thereof. And then Chapter 16, Department of Finance, Article 2, Section 36A, assessment of interest on paid past due accounts. 60 days after the due date set forth in the first demand for payment sent to the city to the debtor shall have the interest penalty of 10% per month assessed on the unpaid principal. This should not even be on the agenda because in Chapter 2, Section 39, the city manager is charged with the enforcement of all those laws and ordinances within the municipality. It's also disturbing to me that the material that's put online for the front and center project, the timeline looks as if the vote will be taken on June 15th. There's been no information regarding a public hearing or ward meetings, so I'm viewing that as that you don't want any dialogue from the citizens. And the last thing is that agenda packets have contained several predated items where what's published on Friday online has the date typed in that it was passed, and it hasn't even been brought to the council's attention yet. So, and this has been going on for more than a year if you want to go back and check the things that are posted online. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, we don't engage in things, but if you want to have some specific questions, we can talk to you afterwards to clarify some of those things. Thank you. All right, actually at this point, our public comment time is over, and we're going to go ahead and, going to move on to recognitions and appointments. And we start out with the awarding of certificates to the Spring 2015 Bloomington 101 participants. Recommend that the mayor award the certificates of completion to the Spring 2015 Bloomington 101 participants. And Nora, you have them over here. And if you are here, as I call your name, if you're a Bloomington 101, I know some of you are in the audience, please come forward to get your certificates. First of all, Cynthia J. Carter. Cynthia? She's not here. Joseph Blaney. Kelly Tice. Tanya Caberna. Dolores Vole. And then Steve Schroeder. Steve, are you here? Paige Elliott. I see she's Ann Higgins. Jamie Mathey. Kelby Crumston. Ryan Stritchlow. I don't see Ryan. Casey Pirtle. Casey. Amanda Weisgerber. Amanda. Barbara Edelman. Brian Bobolka. Ed Boyer. And last but not least, I don't see him in the audience, so Bill Wilson. Bill, are you here? No, I don't. Anyway, thank you. And I want to thank Nora for making this happen and our city manager for making this happen. This is definitely part of getting citizens as engaged as possible. And we've now had 2 semesters, if you will, worth of Bloomington 101 graduates. And we certainly are very thankful. Thank you so much.
Mayor, perhaps we could take a moment to talk a little bit about Bloomington 101 for those who aren't familiar with the program. I think I saw too that we were doing the recruitment drive for the next session as well. Just maybe 30 seconds or so. David, maybe Nora.
And again, just information on the next session?
What it is and how to sign up.
Sure. Yeah, Bloomington 101 is a kind of a crash course on approximately 8 to 10 sessions, and it helps any citizen of the city of Bloomington who wants to participate learn a little bit more about city of Bloomington, our organization, our programs, our departments, the services we provide, what it takes to run nearly a $200 billion organization. So it is open to the citizens of Bloomington. We generally, so far, we've held one session in the fall, starting after Labor Day, and then another one in the springtime. Here, within about 30 days or something, there will be more information on the fall session and how to apply. Nora, unless you want to kind of touch on that.
Due to the demand of our participants that participated in the spring session, we actually posted the application for fall today. So people can begin signing up today. We do accept up to 20 people per session. Thank you.
Thanks. And again, just to also clarify, in terms of open houses, if you do not only want answers, you can also express opinions. There's no rules for it. You come right over here, 4:30 to 5:30 every Friday before a Monday council meeting. And we have very, very clear, robust, consistent discussions. Sometimes there are council members. So if you do, and often solving problems in real time, and we can get some of these issues taken care of, perhaps just as you're sitting there. So again, highly recommend that. Appointment next of Jesse Lee Hinshaw to the Cultural District Commission. Jesse Lee, are you here? If you'd stand. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we move right along now to the consent agenda, and I'm guessing that there are probably an item or two that we want to have pulled for varying reasons from the consent agenda.
Yes, 7I.
7A?
Aye.
I'm sorry. 7I. Any other items to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and pull 7F.
7F, okay, good. Anything else? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of items 7I and 7F?
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Moved by Alderwoman Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Painter. Alderman Fruin?
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to the consent and regular agenda, I have not received any monies or financial benefits from any of the individuals or organizations referenced in these specific agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead and vote. Obviously, an aye is in favor of the consent agenda. Nay would be in opposition. Not everybody's voted, just to let you know. Okay, there are, Alderman Sage, did you mean to vote? Yeah. Okay, all right. Just checking. We have 9 ayes, no nays to announce, Madam Clerk. Thank you. All right, we'll move along in order of the alphabet rather than the way that they were pulled. Item 7F, and I will turn that over to Alderman Fruin, and then maybe we had someone who had expressed some concerns in public comment, maybe we can get some answers to that. I guess was your intention.
Sure. Mayor, I would recommend that the agenda item 7F be approved as presented by the staff.
Okay, is there a second before we have discussion then?
I'll
Okay.
second it to get
Okay,
it in time.
second by Alderwoman Howman, and now we have some discussion.
I'll
concerns.
just make a simple comment, a couple observations that, to me, it looks like this is a continuation of staff efforts and a developer to resolve some pending issues and to see if there's some resolution. We all like to see everything cut and dried, but to me, without being a part of the staff work, and I don't need to be a part of it, sounds like it's the right thing to do. I do note, and I think it's important to know this, that one of the principals of the group is Dave Feder, who has recently been appointed to the Budget Task Force, and I think he'll be a great addition to the Budget Task Force. He has a great reputation in the community for his financial abilities, and so I think that's important to note that, though, and so that's the reason I pulled this. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hales.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I think it might be helpful to indicate the last issue we're trying to resolve has to do with what would be a potential park in this particular development area. Currently, the contract allowed the developer to deed to the city land south of the Norfolk Southern Railroad, which really would have little value, little benefit, little utility for the development, which is located north of the Norfolk Southern Railroad, and with no crossing, it really wouldn't have a benefit. So basically, we're asking the developer to reconsider and to modify, to really change what they were allowed to do under the original agreement. We would like, and our discussion is how can we convert the value of a land dedication that wouldn't be used to the potential of dedicating land within the development for use by all the residents. And so to me, it would be a tremendous win. And so far, the developer has been very willing for discussion. And here in a couple of weeks, we're going to be meeting with residents to talk about a proposal to use some land there for a neighborhood park and expanding the Constitution Trail. So it has nothing to do with the developer non-complying, because if they did comply, there would be no benefit in this land they were going to dedicate. So I think it is something that is very different, something unique that the residents. We're trying to educate them, get them a little more engaged in, and be aware of what we're proposing. And if that can be resolved here in the next month or two, we'll be back with that final piece of this kind of global agreement. So that's basically what we're working on. But the Snyder Corporation has been very willing to cooperate, collaborate with us on a much better resolution for parkland dedication for this project.
Other questions of Mr. Hales? Okay. Okay, at this point, we do have a motion on the floor. The second, an aye vote is in favor of this. Nay vote would be in opposition. Okay. The motion carries 9-0. Thank you very much. And actually, just as Donna, as a point of information, sorry I meant to say this, but again, we don't want to have a debate going on between citizens and others. Just as a point of information, there will be no action taken next week. It's just a work session on the possible downtown revitalization project. So there is no action taken anytime soon. Okay. At this point, we'll move right along to the next item, and then I'm sorry. Yeah, it's item 7I. Excuse me. And I will turn it over to Alderman Miller.
I'm recusing myself because it involves ISU.
Correct. And so you're going to leave, is that right? And then we'll come get you when we're done with the heated debate. Is there a motion to approve item 7I?
So moved.
Moved by Alderwoman Howman. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Black. Any discussion? Okay, again, an aye vote would be in favor. Nay vote would be in opposition. The motion carries 8-0. Thank you very much. No nays to announce, Madam Clerk. All right. We move right along then to item 8A on the regular agenda, and this is presentation of the Downtown Bloomington Association Annual Report by Tricia Stiller. There's a 10-minute presentation and approximately 10 minutes for discussion. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Stiller. you come forward. Oh, Austin's going to do it? Oh, okay. You're on my agenda here.
Well, I was just going to introduce her, so.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the funding for the Downtown Bloomington Association falls under the budget area for economic development. So that's why you see me in front of you right now to then get ready to introduce Tricia. In looking at past council minutes in regards to the Downtown Bloomington Association and funding for it, a frequent question comes up is why is it important to support the downtown? Why so much focus on the downtown? So I did put together just a quick little PowerPoint over the weekend to address that. If we could switch to that, Scott, is that? There we go. Okay, so why is it important to support downtown Bloomington from a retail sales tax perspective? That's one of the focuses, of course, in my position in economic development, since we receive or derive over a third of our operating budget funding from sales tax, because having a thriving downtown Bloomington is like having a second regional shopping mall in our city. I don't know if that's one way that folks have looked at it in the past, but of course we have Eastland Mall, opened in 1967, has nearly 100 stores, anchored by Macy's, Kohl's, and Penny's, Bergner's, and Sears, some national retailers that were once in our downtown but have moved out to the mall. And if you look at this little highlight of the mall area, you can see in red the boundaries of the mall, and then in blue is the parking lot boundary of the mall. So kind of remember that for just a second. We kind of compare that to the downtown. It opened in 1831 and was renovated by a fire in 1900. Happens to be anchored by some really great entertainment venues. You know, you kind of think about some malls have movie theaters as an anchor. Well, we have a great coliseum for sporting entertainment and performing arts venue, a library that attracts many hundreds of thousands of people to the downtown. Those are our great anchors. And in fact, if you were to overlay the boundaries of the mall over downtown, our downtown is actually big enough to accommodate 2 Eastland malls. And also our downtown is very walkable. Some people say, well, I'll have to get in my car to drive from one end to the other. Well, in actuality, if you were to walk from Sears to Kohl's, that would be the same as walking from Common Ground to Epiphany Farms, or Malo and a Masterpiece would be the same distance as going to Rosie's Pub. So our downtown is very walkable, just like our mall is a very walkable environment. But again, what is the importance of the downtown from an economic development perspective? Well, we have over 100 downtown retailers that generated over $200 million in revenue. This is business that they did in the downtown, and that supported a daytime population of 12,400 people while generating over $500,000 in sales tax revenue for the city in 2014. So the downtown is an economic engine for the city of Bloomington. I feel that it's definitely something that we should focus on supporting through our support of the Downtown Bloomington Association. One of the great things that Tricia does from a perspective of kind of looking at it like the mall and the mall office and the mall general manager is she's out trying to attract more businesses to locate in our downtown, and hopefully to try to build this great shopping area, more great retailers, and attracting them to locate in our downtown, which can of course generate more sales tax for our community. So without further ado, I'll pass it along to Tricia, and she's got some great things that she will share with you about what the DBA has been up to this year.
Thank you.
Right here?
Yeah. Let me get my cheaters on here. So, good evening, Mayor Renner and members of the City Council and City staff. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Just want to give, before I present the slides here, I want to give just a little bit of a background and say that the Downtown Bloomington Association is very proud to provide support services to the City of Bloomington through its continuing efforts and participation in the Main Street program. Our 4 working committees are dedicated to helping to enhance the downtown experience for all who choose to spend time there, and we do that in a number of ways. Our first committee is our Promotions Committee, and it is the driving force behind our First Fridays, a monthly celebration of our downtown community. Each month, our businesses extend their hours so that you can discover all of the unique shops, art studios, and galleries. And of course, while you're there, we sure hope you choose to enjoy an unforgettable meal in one of our fine restaurants or grab a nightcap at one of our nightclubs. The design committee works on making downtown beautiful, and they continue to hit it out of the park with their enthusiasm. This year, in addition to the oversized flower pots that we manage as the DBA, we've added tree well gardens throughout the square in a program we're calling Grow the Museum Square. And if you haven't had a chance to be down there, those gardens are magnificent. There are 36 tree well gardens that have been planted by volunteers who have chosen to adopt a plot to beautify our city center. And that's pretty impressive. It's gorgeous down there. The design committee also spawned a public art subcommittee which focuses its attention specifically on public art initiatives. And we're really excited because we're about to add 2 new murals by local artists to our downtown landscape. So stay tuned. As soon as the weather makes up its mind and it's a solid 50 degrees constant, we'll be able to apply those to the wall. So you'll see some wonderful artwork. Another committee that we have is our organization committee, and it works hard to increase awareness and generate new memberships. And they have a main event every year, which is our downtown trivia night, and we just had that this past April. It's a lot of fun, and we like to educate people along the way, so we write our own questions that are very downtown specific and focus on our downtown history. Actually, Jamie Matthey, our downtown resident brain, is the one who writes all those questions for us. And finally, our Economic Restructuring Committee will be adding entrepreneurial training and opportunities to its task list. We've recently partnered with SCORE and the ISU Stevenson Center, and they'll be sharing some information on their new business intelligence program at our next Merchant Mixer, which is something we do on a regular basis. And finally, I saved the best for last, our farmers market is in a league of its own. It's been regionally recognized and has won several awards now due to the hard work and dedication of our core volunteers, the farmers who annually participate, and the hardworking Illinois Wesleyan interns, and of course the full-time efforts of our market manager. The members of the DBA are merchants, residents, supporters, community partners, and property owners all donate their time and their talents to making our outreach successful. We want everyone to know what we know, and that is we have a dynamic downtown, and we are committed to continuing its growth in partnership with the city, of course. We have unlimited potential, and under your leadership, we make progress every single day. So I just want to show you a few slides that apply to what I've just spoken to. If I can figure out how to do this. Okay, so these are some of the flower pots and things that I've mentioned. We have I Love Downtown, and I'm sure you've seen some of these signs all over in yards and windows. These are our adopt-a-pots and an example of the tree well garden area. This is actually the corner of Monroe and Center Street. So we manage that. The city helps us. Parks and Rec comes out and waters once a week, but our volunteers haul their own jugs of water over every day. So we also have during First Fridays, we have on-street musicians now that the weather is nice, creating a lively atmosphere. And of course, this is a lovely community volunteer who helped us decorate for Christmas. He might look a little bit like Karen. I don't know. Just a little bit. We're a connected community, and we love to stay connected. The photographs here represent our annual volunteer recognition reception. That also is the Jean Anderson Award Night. This past year, we recognized the efforts of Ruthie Cobb, a longtime volunteer and local historian. Here she's receiving her award, and congratulations from Deputy Manager Rasmussen. And this picture over here highlights one of our merchant mixers. This was at East Street Hardware that Kelly Ruertz is the manager there, and she hosted an open house for us to just kind of network together and remind ourselves, reconnect with our colleagues, our peers throughout the downtown. We are overflowing with history, art, and lots of whimsy. As you can see, when the weather gets cold, we take care of Abe. We put a scarf on him when it's cold. We had, this year, we launched a scarecrow contest in our adopt-a-pot. So you see one of our scarecrows here. And of course, here's our public art. We're so proud of this. This is our first attempt at public art, and 40 of our local artists braved intense heat and a very rickety scaffold to volunteer voluntarily apply their work at the corner of Main and Market. This here is a new tree well garden in front of the Inside Out Accessible Art Co-op, and this is perfect. That's exactly what they've done. They've taken the outside or the inside and brought it out. This is a little bicycle that they've turned into a lawn sculpture, and we're really thrilled about that. We may kind of be copying that throughout the downtown. And of course, this is a project we're real proud of. We had global mural painter Joel Bergner come in and work with the students at RAS, the Regional Alternative School, to create this mural for us. We are the main focus behind these three core events that drive traffic to our downtown. Again, I've mentioned First Fridays and Farmers Market. This past Saturday we had, thank you Mother Nature, we were able to successfully get 200 cars of the vintage variety muscle cars, rat rods, you name it, a mayoral Corvette might have been, on Main Street for a wonderful Route 66 event, and we had a great time. It was a wonderful event.
Farmers market the next day, and then I felt like my 96 Corvette was a babe in the woods compared to the others that were there, but it was really, really great.
Yeah. Thank you. We had a good time. I'm still tired, but that's okay. We're open for business, and this is something we want to make sure people always know. I couldn't even get all of our business logos on there, but this is just for those of you who don't have an opportunity to come downtown during the day, we have an interior design school. Did you guys know that? A dash of slash down on the 600 block right next to Hobbyland, the fun store with the red door. And she's hosting our next merchant mixer. I hope you all would feel free to stop by and meet Marianne. And of course, our long-standing businesses such as Common Ground and Specs Around Town, Fox and Hounds, keeping us all running and going strong. And we have shops and galleries galore. Again, so many things to mention and so little time. Of course, we have the warehouse district is coming back strong with places like Retrofit Culture and creative enterprises like Wild Style Design. They do face painting. It's really, and Meltdown Creative Works making all kinds of things happen downtown. So. Entertainment options. Of course, we have the Bloomington Center for the Performing Arts, which is, of course, home of the Illinois Symphony Orchestra. We have our Coliseum, the Castle Theater. Now we have jazz up front, Bistro Bloomington, Fat Jack's, Daddy-O's, Six Strings. I couldn't find a logo to put up there. And, with this friendly ghost represents Haunted Bloomington, the historical ghost walks that are happening every weekend. And finally, history, culture, and architecture is something we do very well downtown. We're very proud of that. We have the McLean County Art Center, the McLean County Museum of History, and obviously the new Cruisin' with Lincoln on 66 Visitor Center. The home of USA Ballet, many of you might not realize that. And our architecture, it's unsurpassed. Whenever we have visitors come in, if we're hosting a conference or we just have folks who are visiting for the day, they walk around like this because they're just looking at the marvelous architecture that we have preserved. And finally, this is our Convergence of Purpose statue out on the green space in front of the BCPA, our Lincoln Park. And that's all I have to share, but again, it's an honor to provide this service to the City of Bloomington, and we appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, comments, questions, members of the council?
Excuse
Alderwoman?
me, I'm actually going to leave now. I'm on the DBA board and
Okay.
I'm going to recuse
Right.
myself.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks. Alderman Black, Painter, and Lauer.
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
Oh, okay. Is there a second? We can continue our discussion.
I'll second it.
Second by Alderwoman Painter, and then we'll go then to Alderwoman Painter and Alderman Lauer for comments, questions, discussion.
Okay. Thanks for your presentation. And I just want to say, I love First Friday. However, is there any way you can twist some of the businesses' arms to stay open on First Friday? I wanted to try that cupcake place, and it's always closed on First Friday, and I think they'd want to be open. A lot of these stores, I would think,
would want to get business on First Friday.
I think you're absolutely right. It is voluntary participation, but I think you've just given me some additional ammunition to persuade them to stay open. But when they are able to, they do try to.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Alderman Lauer.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very nice presentation. You guys are doing a great job downtown, I'm sure. However, I think it's very important to understand that there are a number of businesses throughout Bloomington Normal, and Bloomington per se, that's really what we're dealing with right now here today. It's clear to me, looking back over time, that your entity was intended initially, and probably all along, to be self-sustaining. Is there any plan for that?
Well, we continue to make strides to become more self-supporting. We have created a Friends of Downtown Bloomington fund, and which allows us to utilize the IPCF 501c3 umbrella, and that will allow us to continue to seek grants. So we are making steps in doing that, and we work every day to increase our membership and our awareness so that we can continue to support ourselves through that.
In terms of that, can you give me some sort of percentage or numbers, the number of businesses that are in the area and the number that are actually part of your association and take part?
We have 38 retailers, and I would say a good three-quarters of those are long-standing members of the DBA. We have 16 restaurants, and most of them are members. We have some new folks that we have to court yet. When new businesses are starting, of course, they're watching every penny. So they don't always join. They don't always join the chamber right away. They always kind of get their feet wet a little bit. Our studios and galleries, our residents. Specifically, I can't give you the percentages you're looking for at this time, Kevin, but I'd be very happy to prepare that for you and submit it to you.
I think it's only fair in light of the fact that we have a number of businesses across our city that are struggling. And we have to understand that when we subsidize you, those are the folks that are actually paying those bills. And so it's not just the residents, okay? And I don't diminish the fact that this is very important, but so is many, many other areas of our city that host businesses. I have several that in my own neighborhood, just a block or two away from my home, that struggle every day. And by subsidizing you, it takes away from their own ability to sustain themselves. And that's where I think the rubber meets the road here. I don't think it's fair to those folks to continue to have to support downtown per se. We ought to have a fair playing field here. I think, we've done a lot. You've done a lot with downtown, certainly, but maybe just like Eastland Mall, those folks that pay rent out there and have those services and support one another by being there and being viable, maybe the downtown, it's time that they support each other and maintain that viability themselves.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alderman Black.
Thank you. And Tricia, thank you so much. I think you're one of the unsung heroes in Bloomington. Now, a lot of the things that happen in downtown could not happen without your hard work and your staff's hard work. I mean, it's one of those things where people just think that the farmers market just kind of comes together and these farmers come out and it doesn't work that way. And the first Fridays, I mean, I've been out there. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it doesn't just happen. That is a testament to DBA's organization and your tireless efforts. And I'm not even mentioning some of the other small one-off events that go on downtown, and I look forward to more of those. I'll talk kind of at a high level, then I'll move down to my own personal opinion here. At a high level, my ward is just northwest of downtown, so I have a lot of folks that will mention to me about downtown, and a lot of the question is, what are you going to do about downtown? How can you make it better? And the numbers are clear, is that when downtown is doing well, the adjacent neighborhoods do well, whether it be reduced crime, increased property values. There's a lot of positives to having a very strong, vibrant downtown. And and to me, it's a public good that comes from that. Now, should we, double the amount that we give to it? No, we want to make sure we get some deliverables. And I think your report really highlights many of the things that have been done in the last year that the DBA should take credit for, and deserves to continue to have that level of funding because there's a public good that comes from it. To me, I look at downtown as a place that I would take my friends when they come to visit. We're not going to go hang out at Eastland Mall. Now, there's anything wrong with Eastland Mall, but we want a more unique cultural approach, and I continue to hear conversation about what can we do to attract millennials to downtown, and as one of them, I think that downtown is definitely a driver for that, and you see it, we were just talking earlier about some of the wonderful apartments that have gone up in downtown just recently, and there's good that comes from that. But to me, what really highlights this conversation is just a couple days ago, there was an email that was sent by a former downtown business owner that was very negative about downtown and the direction that it's going. And it was sent to the council and a bunch of downtown business leaders. You can FOIA it if you'd like. And what I liked about it was how so many people responded to this person saying that he was way off base, had no idea what he was talking about, and that there's a lot of positive things that were happening in downtown. And I think that's important because there's a spirit that's going on amongst the business owners, that's going on amongst people that are participating in downtown that is driving it. And there's a lot of energy. I love, I'm looking forward to the summer festivals that are going on down there. And that anytime that we can bring people here, it's a good thing. And the last thing I'll note is just kind of highlighting the farmers market is I know Normal would love to have an organization just like that. And if we don't remain diligent in protecting it and nourishing it and growing it, we could find ourselves in a situation where we don't have it, and that would be a real loss to the city. So your organization does wonderful work, and I'm strongly supportive of the DBA.
Thank you. Thank you. And Kevin and I have had this discussion before. We disagree. I would echo Alderman Black, his point that downtown is a public good. And it's in fact, when you invest in your downtown, all boats float. When we get people coming along now that we have Route 66 Visitor Center, and I go in there about every week or so just to see who's signed in from what different countries. When people come from Argentina and Chile and Australia and Norway and whatever, and they're coming into our town, and it's not even the season yet, we're all going to benefit. When we are able to attract other businesses to come to downtown and to our community and to hire better talent in the marketplace. Millennials are the hot thing at this point. And that's not just because we want them, it's because businesses understand that's the next wave of our growth for the next generation or more, the kinds of things. Walkable cities, strong, vibrant downtowns. Kevin, there are 362 metro areas. Of those center cities, there are none that have downtowns that are thriving. So,
most of those.
and
I've been there, you probably have. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to get to that point. That's not the point. Regardless,
The point is that it's an ideological difference.
it is, and I'm going to make can I make my point and then you can make yours? There are no cities, central cities, that have declining downtowns that have thriving economies. There is a null set, Kevin. That is part of us, so our cultural core, our historic core. That's the point. Not that we've necessarily traveled to each of the 362 metro areas. I do talk to about 250 of my closest pals who are the mayors of the metro areas. There's usually about 250 throughout the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And that's the hot thing. Everybody's concerned about their downtowns or their way, like Uptown Normal, they're at 3 or 4 phases, of their development. Anyway, do you want to respond?
I don't disagree that downtown is important. I just don't agree that it's necessarily appropriate for everyone else to have to subsidize the downtown area. Why don't we do something to help you folks along, include everyone, and I don't think that it's appropriate to have a tax, but maybe you all ought to have a membership fee or something, include everybody, and if you need to raise more money, then do it, but don't do it on our backs. It's not fair to the folks on South Morrissey Drive. It's not fair to the folks up in Ward 9. If it's market driven, it is fair. And so if the folks are coming down there to spend money, that's the way the open market works, and they will spend their money. I don't see where, we're going on almost a decade of supporting you, and I don't know that that's necessarily fair, especially in this economic environment. Thanks.
Other comments? Alderwoman Burgess and Alderwoman Burgess.
Sure, just to follow up on that, and I don't want to perpetuate this because I think that, regional minds will differ. However, I do want to point out that we heard earlier, one of the first things we heard is that the downtown Bloomington is bringing in about $500,000 worth of tax money. None of that is being segregated exclusively to downtown Bloomington. That is going to fund our services and our infrastructure throughout the city. So the better the downtown does and the more tax revenue that it generates, the better we all are. And with regard to the DBA, this is a very small investment for a very high rate of return, and I think that is worth our while.
Okay, any others? Okay, at this point, an aye vote is in favor, a nay vote is opposed. Okay. Oh, it is showing? Huh? It did. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, the motion carries 7-1. There's only one nay to announce, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Lauer.
Okay. We get Karen. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Hales, City Manager's discussion.
Mayor?
Oh, wow, okay. Well, I just have very few things, and believe it or not, wow, we may get out in an hour or so. We actually have, this past weekend, I did talk a little about some of the events that I saw in downtown, and that was really great, but Joe and Ruth Haney, I saw their plays this past weekend, and I would certainly recommend to the council, they're really, really proud of what they've done. We have some really great loft apartments in downtown Bloomington, but these are 16 to 1,800 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They seem even bigger because they're like 16, 18-foot ceilings. They all have a balcony. They're incredibly well designed. And Joe did it all himself in terms of the design. So there's exposed brick walls. They've kept the historic integrity of each of the apartments. It's really, really stunning. And before they can finish them, they're rented. And so I would certainly recommend it. It's really, really impressive and creative in terms of the energy, speaking of the downtown. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Aldermanic comments, excuse me. Okay, we should call Ripley's. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Black. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Painter. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.